everyone, hope you're doing well. Just to speed things up a little bit, I've taken all these art supplies out and left some in the box, but basically this is a combined two-order situation. One of them, which is basically all of the contents in this box and the pencils, was end of April purchase, and then these markers was a recent purchase in beginning of May. So I decided to combine them purely because I just didn't have time. I was sort of, very excited to use these art supplies, but I just did not have time to do the unboxing and the swatching video. So I decided I will combine it in the end. Although one thing I have tried is this pencil here, the slate gray. Used it a couple of times, and then I swatched out these in my separate little sketchbook where I keep all of the markers swatches in here. So the color range, as you can see throughout the markers and the pencils, is mostly pinks and greens and reds and all that kind of thing. So that's to go with my current botanical art fascination, and also I use loads of these pinks and reds for the face illustrations and the fashion illustrations. Here's a great example, botanical combined with the face, and then I use the same colors throughout her outfit, the flower and the her face as well, the lips and the cheeks and all of that. So let's start with fewer items first. So I've got here Neocolour II, which is a Caran water-soluble crayon, and this is Crimson Alizarin Hue. So I didn't really have a red color. Let me just show you quickly. Well, I do have red, but not like that. So in this area, I've got all the Neocolour ones, which I really am not using that much at all. I just find them to be a very childlike art supply, and I can't get them to work in the way that I think, I like my art to look, and I'm talking here about my personal style. So in terms of reds, you can see what I have here. I think this is vermilion. Yes, it is vermilion. So there's nothing that is like the sort of true pinky type of color that's kind of like missing out. Looking at it now, I wonder where I'm going to add it. Yeah, I'll find where to add it, but what I do is I take off a little bit of the paper and then I sharpen them so that I can use them with a kind of detailed, or for a detailed reason. And let's swatch that out. So being water soluble, of course, you'll see them, the pigment come out beautifully. And let's use a bit of water. The weather here in UK, let's do a bit of weather forecast for you, has been weird, to say the least. It literally can't decide. You feel hot because it's humid and it's about to start bucketing down. So whatever you put on, it kind of just doesn't work. You either get hot or you get cold or you get wet. And it's this constant discomfort, whether you're being at home. I mean, at home it's a bit easier, but still half the time you're just schwitzing around. So you can see beautiful color. I could even pull it out a little bit more just to show you even lighter version of it. That's the fun element about these crayons. So it's not really a color I had in mind. This is more of kind of like a muted type of a wine, like a wine red. Not what I had in mind for alizarin crimson, I'll be honest. But it's a hue, so maybe that's why. Okay, next one. So I've got two more colors of the Molotov, and this is the acrylic markers. Before using them, you'll see, oh, I must have swatch this one. I think I was curious about it. Yeah, so when they're new, they will be white, the nibs. All you need to do is to give them a good shake, and once you start hearing the balls kind of hitting around freely and this all looks well mixed up, then you can start using them. So I'm going to do that for the both markers, and the new one you just have to push a few times onto the paper and then the paint starts flowing through. So let me do that in the background and I'll be back. So here we go. This is a nice color. I think that will go well with some of the things I have in mind. So this is the Lager Blue Pastel, and then we have the Purple Violet, which already was shaken up. Yeah, so this is gorgeous color. It's super dark. It's like a aubergine. It's not leaning towards a warm. It's not really leaning towards a red. It's almost black, but I mean, let's wait for it to fully dry. It might lift a little bit color-wise, but it's just I'd call it an off black, just with a little tint. So then here we have a bunch of colors, watercolors, and I got them to finish that palette that I will show you in a minute. So we'll leave the watercolors to the last because I'll need to unwrap them, etc. That will take a little bit longer. And then let's do the pencils next. Let's start with the, I suppose, the pinks first. I didn't really arrange them in any sort of color arrangement, but let's, I don't know, let's do it like that. I'll start with the gray. So this was the color that I least liked, and the reason being is just it comes across so flat. I have tried it already in an illustration, not sure if I mentioned it already. So it just doesn't have a fun element to it, which I was expecting. But slate gray, it describes the name very, very well. So let's go this way now. Violet pink. So these are the Museum Aquarelle by Caran Pencils. And they are watercolor pencils. Very beautiful quality of a pencil. Would highly recommend. I always recommend these pencils if you would like to try watercolor pencils and you'd like to invest into artist grade pencils. In my opinion, these are the best, and the colors are stunning as well. They have colors that aren't just traditional but also a lovely variety to things. And okay, I haven't told you then the next one. So that was the violet pink, and then we have the purplish red, vermilion, and now we have russet. So in the luminance pencils, I have both russets, and I really love them. So I decided to add this type of a pencil to my watercolor pencils too. Light olive 40%. I think I might have had some olive colors previously, but not the 40%. And then we have spring green. So this is going to be your chartreuse. Beautiful color. I love my chartreuses. Okay, now I'm going to use some water and go over. All right, so I accidentally swiped with my brush over the still wet color here. Acrylic paint. Okay, so I'm just going to do lovely little swatches, just leaving a little bit of the pencil. Wow, this one is a bright color. The purplish red. Vermilion I was very excited about, and yes, it is that fire engine type of a red. Russet. So do you see what I mean when I say these are, in my opinion, the best quality watercolor pencils? The color is just so vibrant. It's got fabulous transparency, and the lines can be completely dissolved with water, and you would never see that pencil texture if you didn't want to, which is what I like about them a lot. The vibrancy, the actual color choices, gorgeous, and yeah, the quality. Right, so next we have got, I didn't put any sort of color arrangement here. Something like that will do. Okay, so I've got how many? I think 9 colors? No, I've got 11 colors. And that's close enough. So with them, having played around just doing swatches, I felt that the best thing was to go in with water just immediately. If I did a few swatches and let it stay and then go with water just to minimize on the time, I found that it didn't bring the color or the pigment out as well. If you do it freshly like this, you get more of the color out and less of these sort of lines there. It also depends on the paper too, so keep that in mind. Okay, I will tell you all the names later, but for now I can tell you the numbers. 723 was the first one, 703 was the second, and now we have got 725. Beautiful. And then I'll do one more. I'll do the 815, which is like a gorgeous, what would you call it? Coral. It's like a bubblegum type of a coral. Then we have 755. Eight, 3, 5. So they have 2 brushes, one very fine point, which you can get the finest polka dots if you are into mark making, and then the brush, which is fantastic to use in larger areas. So 835, and then this one is 885. So I think this is the coral that I confused with that one earlier. This is the true coral. And then we have 845. Next one is 837. The beautiful arrangement of colors. Okay, and then we're going into the last 2 greens from the from this purchase. 158. And finally 126. I love this color here. It's quite zesty. It's a good color to add. A couple of colors that I bought looking at online swatches, hoping for these type of colors, was a big fail. Like, I'll show you a few. I think this color here, which is 098, I had a lot more hope for. And which one was it here? The 076, I think, as well. They just end up a lot more duller than in reality. But this one, the 026, that is very, very good. So I'll show you here, the 026. And the avocado that I just showed you is very dull and kind of not great looking. And then the green ochre, 076, also not fantastic. So I was quite happy to have this light olive added to the colors. And the best thing to do is actually this little leaflet. I've done another intro before, so I don't remember if I mentioned it in this intro. So if I did, I might just cut it out. But point being is, this was very, very useful. So that's the 95 vivid colors. There are other things, like they come out with specific sets. The colors were not included in here, so there are more colors if you include other sets. But the point is, you can just go through, see what colors you have, and that sort of within that range you can kind of guess. Avocado still looks a lot better on this swatch than it actually is in their marker, but you can see here I just went through the entire pinks and just ordered most of them, and most of the warm orange and the browns I also got here. So that is that. And then we have the watercolors. Now the watercolors, let me tell you which colors I got. So watercolors. Now let's see, again, I was ordering from the swatches, which sometimes are very difficult to grasp. So I went for the colors that I thought were a good addition to what I already have. So Roman Szmal, I have quite a large collection of these colors. And in the beginning I was a little bit suspicious just because they were a new watercolor brand and I was so spoiled by other brands, and then boom, the Daniel Smith situation happened and I literally started focusing on other brands a lot stronger and kind of having more trust in smaller watercolor brands. Luckily, I don't think there's any other watercolor brand that would do what Daniel Smith did, but let's not dwell on that. So we have got 7 colors, and we have got the tint. So I thought that would be a good Caucasian skin tone. Blue Ridge Rose Sienna, and then we have Olive Green Deep and French Ochre, Anthraquinone Scarlet, Permanent Alizarin Crimson, and Iron Chrome Brown. I think this is an interesting one where it does a lot of granulation, but let me just get my palette and I'll quickly show you a couple of things. So as you can see, it's starting to get little stains here and there. It's well loved, well used palette. I basically converted one of my Derwent pencil tins just because it works so good for a palette. There you go, as the proof. And I am using like another storing area for those. So here I had, as you can see, 6 that way and 1 this way. So what I have done is I have gone ahead and titled all of these with names, I believe, and the numbers for sure. So I'm going to do the same once I unwrap these pans, and I will think of an arrangement because I won't just add them to the side. I'll need to shift everything around and find a perfect space. How many colors does this palette take in? Okay, so we have got 12 colors across, including this one that I will insert, and we have 6 colors going down. So we've got 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, and 72. So there you go, 72 full pans. Imagine what you could do with half pans. I'm just saying. Don't blame me. All right, in case you wonder what I've done with the tints, I just spray painted them with the Molotov, I think it was Molotov, the spray cans. Really, really fantastic quality of the spray paints. I've done some furniture pieces in Mason's kids' room, so I can highly recommend those spray paints as well. Right, so let me go ahead and sort these half pans out first. Okay, so I tend to keep most of these wrappers because I can then quickly refer to the pigments. And so that's what I'm going to do. As I'm doing that, I'm going to unwrap every little, they look like little chocolates. Aren't they pretty? Half pan. And then I'm going to use a Sharpie and basically write down the name and the number. So the number is T13, and then on the side I will write down the name, which is in this case the tint. Okay, so this particular one has PW6, PY42 and PR264. I wonder if you're interested in their pigments, so I'm gonna do that for all very quickly. So the next color is Blue Ridge Rose Sienna, and that is an earth pigment, PY43. What I love about Roman Szmal is the fact that they do give you a name of the earth pigment, so that's great. Okay, and then the next one is, so that was the 255. The 348 is green, olive green deep. And that one is PY150, PBK9, PG17, PBR25. Then we have 114, which is French ochre. And this one is also earth pigment PY43. Then we have 318, which is anthracenoin scarlet. And this one is single pigment PR168. Next one, 330. And the color is permanent alizarin crimson, PR176. Great. 258, iron chrome brown, and this is PBR29. So next thing I'm going to do, unwrap all of them, title them so you don't fall asleep, and then we will start swatching them around. How fun is that? Okay, so I had a little break, changed my outfit. I went to get my son, so I had a school run. It's been about an hour. So this has taken a bit longer than I expected, but here are the colors. It's just really kind of useful to have it all displayed like that and capped. I wish I would have done it like on all of the other brands that I purchased. I particularly like it actually with the Roman Szmals because they are hand painted, all of them, and they kind of look good like that. So these are all the colors that I have right here. What I'm gonna do now is actually, just for now, so that I don't make any mess on my desk, I'm going to just place them into my palette. I'll just go like that, kind of just to show you as well that it fits nicely. I don't know what I'm doing here color wise, but I'll just go like that. And I suppose these are neutrals. Probably like the reds here first, and then 2 neutrals here, and then olive green, and this one right here. Okay, so 72 colors. Nothing is kind of bulging or popping out. It's all fitting now perfectly. I have moved the palette so it's easier to see, and I'm going to start by swatching these colors out. When they're completely new, they sometimes have like a little bit of a coating on top, which goes, I think, from the paper, and someone told me a long time ago that it's like a type of a starch or something, but it doesn't impact the color, in case you're wondering. So I'm just going to swatch that out for you. This is a beautiful type of a peach color. Would be a great base color for Caucasian skin tone. And that's exactly what I had in mind when picking this color. And next one we have that beautiful red. Kind of reminds me of a vermilion. So it's a pretty coral when it's watered out. Then next color, I should tell you all the names, shouldn't I? So the first one was the tint. Then we have the anthracenoin scarlet. Next one is permanent alizarin crimson. Wow, how beautiful is this color? It's so luminous and it's sort of vibrant, super pigmented. Beautiful color. I'm just going to add a bit of water. And lift some color as well. And then we have one of these, which I don't quite remember. which one is which. So that's why it's so important. So this is 114, and that is French ochre. Okay, so this one is French ochre. Yeah, so that's why it's important to write at least numbers down. That's the very least you should do. If you can't be bothered writing names out, and you can always refer later, or like me, you don't need to tell anyone the name of the color and you just want to paint regardless of the name. You know, you don't have a YouTube channel, then that's all fine. I need to know the names. And in general, you know, for me it's much easier to remember a color by name than a number. So this one is super granulating, I can see that. And there's also a lovely granulation happening here. But let's see, sometimes it settles once it dries. Okay, so the next color is Blue Ridge Raw Sienna. I have the Blue Ridge Burnt Sienna, I believe. And that is like one of my favorite colors. Okay, this is a beautiful, beautiful color. It's very pretty. Okay, and then the last two, I've got the green. So I'll go with the green first. And the green was Olive Green Deep. Now I do have another olive green, which is Olive Green Light, and that's right here. And this is the deep. That's another beautiful one, super rich. Beautiful color. Okay. I'll try to move the pigment a little bit just to see if it granulates. And then finally, it's the Iron Chrome Brown. So this one I'm expecting to be quite granulating. And you only need a little because it's completely opaque. It's like painting with ink. Okay, so even this is still too much, so I'll have to lift it in a bit. Just going to dry my brush and go around the color and just move things around a bit. Just like that. Okay, so for now we'll wait for everything to dry. So I have now checked, and two colors that are stated to be granulating are these two, the Olive Green Deep and Iron Chrome Brown. Now the paper here is not showing off much granulation happening on Iron Chrome Brown, and this is to say about every single watercolor, with my own as well, because I do make my own watercolors. There has been a color which I see as a kind of like a mild or middle granular, I don't know what you would call it, but it's a lightly granulated color, so it's not as strong as some other more obvious granulating colors. And so when you make them, you kind of know what you're getting, whereas depending on the paper, what you are using, and whichever way you're kind of using the watercolor, sometimes it doesn't come through. So another thing that I just noticed looking at Roman Szmal's colors, something I haven't noticed before is, so in some cases there is a G, which I would assume is for granulating. There is NG, which I would assume is for non-granulating, but there is also MG, and I wonder whether that means that sort of mild granulation or medium granulation level that I just mentioned. Because yeah, I mean, when you first look at the color, it might not look like a granulating color that you would see in a typical granulating color. However, it's not flat either, so I totally think there should be a middle point to granulation as well, where, you know, technically it's not non-granulating, but maybe it's not as heavily granulated as a granulating color should be. So basically that's the case. And let's just check. So non-granulating is tint, and we have this one here is also non-granulating, the Anthraquinone Scarlet. Permanent Alizarin Crimson, that's a non-granulating. French Ochre, now that is MG. Blue Ridge Rose Sienna, that's also MG. And then those two are granulating. So these are the beautiful colors. They're very springy, if you ask me. So kind of actually completely unintentional, but this is the jumper I've been wearing when the weather is like warm enough and it's not pouring down with rain, just with white jeans. Love this color. So I guess it's sort of somehow translated into the choices that I've made for this haul. Love the colors. Like I said before, if I had to pick one color that I think I'm not fully excited about, it probably would be slate gray. I completely could do without it in my collection. Everything else is super pretty. This violet pink reminds me of Potter's Pink. Beautiful shade, but possibly more creamier than what you would expect from a watercolor to be granulating. Typically Potter's Pink would be. So, but tone wise, beautiful. I would love to use it on a cheek. And in fact, I will try to use it in skin tone complexion, just to add a little bit of shading around the nose and the eye area. So the way I would use this is actually scribble somewhere, like in a dish if I can, or maybe use a brush to get the pigment off the pencil so that I have more control over it, and use it like a watercolor rather than going straight in. For a cheek, I wouldn't mind going straight in onto the paper. So yeah, these are the colors, and take a little screenshot if you are interested. If I had to pick out my favorites, Olive Green Deep definitely would go in. Blue Ridge Rose Sienna, definitely. Permanent Alizarin Crimson, beautiful. The tint for sure. Oh, here I'm getting lost because there's so many, but Cherry, Carmine, I mean, I can't pick, seriously. These are beautiful. All the pinks and reds I absolutely love. Even the Wine Red, which is a little bit more muted compared to the other super bright colors, still love it. Would be a beautiful cheek color or lip color. Russet is gorgeous. Spring Green, I love. Light Olive, actually this time, love all of them. Love the light olive. Maybe the dark olive not so much if I really had to be picky. But yeah, everything else beautiful. This color, a little bit surprised about it. These definitely I will be using in some interesting color palettes. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think, whether hot pink is your color for this month, and I will see you soon. Thanks for watching.